The galaxy was vast, filled with countless stars and countless planets, each with its own story. Yet, among all the species that inhabited this endless universe, there were few as arrogant and powerful as the Zorathians. They were a ruthless alien race, feared across many worlds for their technology and strength. They had conquered dozens of planets without even breaking a sweat, leaving destruction in their wake. When their eyes turned toward Earth, they believed it would be just another easy conquest. The Zorathian fleet, massive and intimidating, hovered at the edges of the solar system. Their advanced technology, including enormous warships and devastating weapons, made them seem unstoppable. No one had ever dared to challenge them before, and they saw no reason why Earth, a planet far on the edge of the galaxy, would be any different. But there were whispers, a warning that echoed across the galaxy. A respected Zorathian elder, one who had seen many battles, stood before the fleet's council. His name was Chakr, and he had earned the title of the Wisdom of the Stars for his deep knowledge of the galaxy's history. He was old and tired, yet his voice carried the weight of experience. "I have studied this Earth, and I warn you," Chakr said, looking directly at the council. "This planet is different. The humans, though primitive in our eyes, possess something we have not yet understood. Their resilience, their ability to fight against all odds, is something we cannot underestimate." The room fell silent. The council members exchanged skeptical looks. To them, Chakr's warnings were nothing more than fear. After all, how could a small, weak species like humans possibly pose a threat to their mighty empire? Their ships could wipe out entire cities in the blink of an eye. Humans had no chance. One of the younger commanders, Zorath, who had recently risen through the ranks, stood up and laughed. "Elder Chakr, you speak of legends. Humans are nothing but insects. They live in their small, fragile world, and they are outmatched by our power. We will crush them with ease. Why waste time on such ridiculous fears?" Chakr's gaze hardened. He knew this was not just arrogance, it was a mistake. A deadly one. "I have seen the outcome of underestimating a species, Zorath. If we proceed with this invasion, we may regret it. Earth has more strength than you realize. Don't let their size fool you." But the council had already made up its mind. The younger commanders were eager for glory, and the elders' concerns were brushed aside. They believed their advanced technology was enough to overcome any challenge. "Prepare the fleet for launch," Zorath ordered, dismissing Chakr's words. "We will teach these humans their place." As the Zorathian fleet began its journey toward Earth, the warnings were forgotten. The once respected voice of reason had been silenced, and the galaxy's most feared race was about to make a fatal mistake. Meanwhile, on Earth, no one had any idea what was coming. Life continued as usual for billions of people across the planet, working, living, dreaming. The skies above remained peaceful, with no signs of the impending doom. Only a handful of Earth's leaders, including scientists and military officers, had a faint understanding of the threat, but even they could not prepare for what was about to happen. Some tried to sound the alarm. Across global news channels, there were reports of unusual activities in space, but the information was dismissed by most as nothing more than rumors or mistaken observations. Who could have possibly imagined that an advanced alien race was on its way to Earth, planning to annihilate humanity? After all, Earth had never faced such a threat before. The Zorathians, confident in their superiority, began their invasion. Massive warships descended from the heavens, their engines roaring as they entered Earth's atmosphere. They unleashed their devastating weapons, targeting major cities with precision strikes. Buildings crumbled, and the ground shook as the first waves of destruction began. But it was during the early stages of the invasion that the first signs of trouble began to show. Earth's military forces, initially caught off guard, fought back with an unexpected tenacity. The Zorathians, expecting an easy victory, were surprised by the humans' resilience. While their technology was far more advanced, the humans were not backing down. They fought with everything they had, using every resource at their disposal. They fought with determination, with a fierce will to protect their home. Despite this, the Zorathian commanders remained confident. "They are just delaying the inevitable," Zorath said with a sneer as he watched the battle unfold. "Their resistance is meaningless. We will crush them." But deep inside, even the Zorathians couldn't ignore the feeling that something was different. Maybe Chakra had been right. Maybe Earth wasn't as weak as they thought. As the battle raged on, one thing became clear: Earth had not been completely caught off guard. Humanity's will to survive was something the Zorathians had underestimated, and it was the one thing they would come to regret. The Zorathian invasion had begun with a roar, shaking Earth's cities to their very foundations. Yet, despite the overwhelming might of their fleets, something unexpected happened. The alien forces were facing resistance that they couldn't understand, resistance that went beyond technology, beyond strategy, something raw, primal, and deeply human. At first, the Zorathian commanders dismissed the humans' attempts to fight back. Their weapons were outdated compared to Zorathian technology, and their defense systems were no match for the alien ships' energy cannons. It seemed like an obvious victory for the invaders. But Earth's military, though overwhelmed, had something the Zorathians hadn't accounted for: determination. In the heart of the war room, Earth's top leaders and military commanders huddled together. The invasion had already devastated several major cities, but the fight was far from over. General Rebecca Monroe, one of the highest-ranking officers in the Earth Defense Force, stood tall before a table of maps. Her face was marked by exhaustion, but her eyes burned with determination. "We need a new strategy," she said firmly. "We can't just rely on traditional weapons. The Zorathians won't back down. We have to outthink them." Her team of scientists and strategists had been working tirelessly behind the scenes, and they had a secret weapon, one that Earth's enemies could never have predicted. It was a weapon that utilized Earth's natural forces, something the Zorathians, with all their advanced technology, hadn't anticipated. "We've analyzed their fleet's weaknesses," Monroe continued. "Their ships rely heavily on energy shields. The shield systems are powerful, but they're not impervious to electromagnetic pulses. If we can generate a strong enough EMP, we can disrupt their shields long enough to strike." A scientist, Dr. Olivia Zhang, stepped forward, holding a tablet. "We've also developed a prototype for an atmospheric weapon. It's designed to harness the natural storms on Earth, lightning, thunder, and electromagnetic fields, to create a wave of energy that can scramble their communication and navigation systems. It's our only chance to turn the tide." Monroe nodded, her mind already racing through the possibilities. The alien invaders thought Earth was defenseless, but Earth had more than just military power. It had its people, and it had its environment, two things that no alien race could ever truly control. Earth was alive, unpredictable, and resilient. While Monroe's team prepared to launch this new weapon, the Zorathians were already celebrating what they thought was their inevitable victory. Zorath, the young and ambitious commander who had led the charge, stood at the helm of the flagship, watching Earth burn through the panoramic window. His face twisted into a smirk as he saw another city fall to the ground below. "We've broken their will," Zorath said with confidence. "Soon, the planet will be ours." But deep down, there was a nagging feeling, a sense that something wasn't right. It was like a storm on the horizon, a disturbance that couldn't be ignored. His second-in-command, Tlak, a battle-hardened Zorathian officer, glanced at him with concern. "Commander," Tlak said, "our sensors are picking up strange electromagnetic activity from the planet. It's unlike anything we've ever seen." Zorath waved it off, still convinced that nothing could stop their victory. "It's just Earth's primitive technology malfunctioning. Keep the bombardment steady. We don't have time for distractions." But Tlak wasn't so sure. "Sir, it feels different. I believe we should prepare for the worst." Zorath, ignoring the warning, gave the order to continue their assault. As the Zorathians unleashed their weapons on another helpless city, they didn't know that the storm that would change everything was already forming beneath them. In an underground military facility on Earth, the final countdown began. The massive EMP device, the Earth Defense Force's last hope, was ready to be deployed. With bated breath, General Monroe and her team watched as the final systems were activated. Across the globe, secret weather manipulation stations began to generate the enormous electrical storms needed to power the weapon. The sky above Earth grew dark, and lightning crackled as it converged into a powerful storm. At the same time, a different part of the Earth Defense Force launched the experimental atmospheric weapon. The device fired, sending a pulse of energy surging through the planet's atmosphere. Across the sky, an unnatural wave of electricity rolled like thunderclouds gathering before a storm. The EMP pulse spread, scrambling the alien ships' shields, their communication systems, and their weaponry. The Zorathian fleet, already stretched thin by the ongoing resistance, now found themselves caught in a wave of confusion and chaos. Their ships, once sleek and invincible, were suddenly vulnerable. Shields flickered, weapons misfired, and their once perfect navigation systems began to fail. The pulse was like a strike of lightning, sudden and unpredictable, and it paralyzed the alien forces. As Earth's weapon tore through the skies, Zoratha's fleet was plunged into chaos. Ships drifted off course, unable to communicate or defend themselves properly. The Zorathians had underestimated the planet they thought they could easily conquer. They had assumed that Earth was nothing more than a primitive, backwards world. But they were wrong. Earth's will to survive was far stronger than any technology they could bring to bear. "Get us back online!" Zorath screamed, panic starting to creep into his voice. "Restore the shields. We can't let them win now." But it was too late. Earth had already struck back. From the ground, human soldiers launched coordinated attacks, targeting the alien ships that were now floating aimlessly in space, unable to defend themselves. Earth's forces, though small compared to the Zorathian fleet, now had an advantage. Their weapons, previously considered outdated, now proved more effective against the disoriented invaders. The tide of the battle had shifted. The Zorathians, once so confident, were now on the defensive. The humans had fought back with everything they had, and it was beginning to look like they might just win. But Zorath, in his arrogance, refused to admit defeat. The final confrontation was approaching, and he had no idea just how much he had underestimated Earth. The Zorathian fleet, once the embodiment of invincibility, was now struggling to stay afloat in the chaos. What had started as a flawless invasion had rapidly devolved into a nightmare. Earth, a planet once thought to be defenseless, had struck back with a power no one had expected. As the warships drifted aimlessly through space, their systems failing and their crews scrambling to make repairs, the tide of battle was shifting faster than Zorath could comprehend. Back on Earth, the atmosphere was electric. The EMP wave had weakened the alien invaders, but that was just the beginning. As the alien fleet faltered, Earth's forces mounted a relentless counteroffensive. Soldiers, fighters, and pilots, humanity's last stand, rallied together, their spirits unbroken by the devastation that had ravaged their world. Every strike, every tactical move was infused with the burning desire to protect their home. General Rebecca Monroe stood in the heart of Earth's command center, watching the battle unfold on a massive screen. Her fingers drummed anxiously on the table as the data flooded in. Zoratha's fleet was crippled, but they weren't defeated yet. She knew that, despite everything, the alien commander still had his pride. His arrogance. "General," said a voice behind her. It was Dr. Olivia Zhang, the scientist who had helped design Earth's secret weapon. "We've detected a major energy spike coming from their flagship. It looks like they're preparing for a final assault." Monroe's expression hardened. "Then it's time to finish this. We have one shot at this, Olivia. Let's make it count." Zoratha's flagship, despite the damage it had sustained, remained the heart of the Zorathian fleet. Amidst the confusion and panic, he stood resolute at the command center, staring out into space. His pride had been wounded, but his will remained unbroken. He watched as his fleet tried to regroup, their systems coming back online slowly but surely. He believed that victory was still within reach. "We still have the advantage," Zorith muttered to himself, ignoring the fear creeping into his heart. "Earth is weak. They've had their moment, but this war isn't over." His second-in-command, Tlak, approached him cautiously. "Commander, our systems are back online, but I have to warn you, Earth is coming for us. They've mobilized everything they have. We cannot underestimate them any longer." Zorith waved him off. "We will show them why they should have never defied us. Prepare to launch everything we have. They will know the true power of the Zorathian Empire." But as he spoke those words, something shifted in the stars above. A flicker. A brief pulse of light. A sign of something more powerful than he had ever imagined. General Monroe watched the countdown clock tick away. She had no time for hesitation. Earth's forces had been pushing forward relentlessly, but this final strike would require all their might. They had built a massive weapon, a devastating projectile that would pierce the heart of the Zorathian flagship, a strike so powerful that it would ensure their defeat. It was humanity's last hope. The countdown reached its final seconds. "Launch the payload," Monroe ordered, her voice cutting through the room like a blade. Across Earth, military stations activated their launchers. A massive projectile, the size of a small moon, was launched into space with a deafening roar. It sped toward the Zorathian flagship, its trajectory clear. The alien fleet tried to regroup and retaliate, but their weapons were too slow, too weakened by Earth's earlier strikes. The Zorathians could only watch in horror as the projectile closed in on them. Inside the flagship, Zorith had a moment of clarity. For the first time since the invasion began, doubt crept into his mind. He had pushed forward with arrogance, dismissing every warning and underestimating the human race. They had fought with the strength of a species who would do anything to protect their home. And now, as the enormous weapon came crashing toward them, Zorith understood the truth too late. His hubris had led them to this moment. "We were warned," Zorith whispered, staring at the incoming weapon. "But we were too blind to listen." In the final seconds, the Zorathian flagship exploded in a blinding flash of light. The blast sent shockwaves rippling through space, destroying not only the flagship but also the rest of the Zorathian fleet. The once proud invaders, who had believed they were untouchable, were wiped out in a single, catastrophic blow. On Earth, as the dust began to settle and the skies cleared, there was silence. For a moment, no one spoke. The world was still. But then, slowly, cheers erupted across the planet. People from every corner of Earth, from every nation and race, celebrated together. They had done the impossible. They had defended their planet, not through superior technology or overwhelming firepower, but through something far more powerful, the will to survive. General Monroe stood at the command center, watching the news reports as Earth's victory was announced. Her eyes, though weary, gleamed with pride. The cost had been high, but humanity had won. Earth had shown the galaxy that no one, no alien race, no force of nature, could ever truly defeat them. Zoratha's arrogance had been his undoing. The Zorathians had thought Earth was a weak, insignificant planet, ripe for the taking. They had believed their advanced technology and military might would crush the humans without effort. But they had underestimated Earth's greatest strength, its people. The Zorathians had ignored the warning, and now, they had paid the ultimate price. Humanity had not only survived, it had triumphed. And the galaxy would never forget the day when Earth fought back and won.